just like today. I drove to the ocean, looked out at the sea. I started to wonder if I could ever be free, as free as the ocean.
Hello there, and welcome to the Second Life Book Club. Let me just make sure that the stream is on. Yes, it is. Um, Now, here we are with a new show format. Uh, and I use the word format, although I hate it. I hate the word format. I hate the word platform. I hate the word content. But this is not what this is about. This is a Wednesday 10 a.m. SLT get together that I call What Are You Reading? And it is about what you are reading. If nobody shows up, I will be talking about what I'm reading. Um, I mean, if nobody shows up in World or here on the stream. So this 10 a.m. meetup, we already had that. It was focused on my favorite book, Infinite Jest. This time we can talk about anything. And this 10 a.m. get together on Wednesdays will happen uh, every Wednesday if we do not have a guest. So we're booked until the end of the year, but there's a bunch of Wednesdays where there is no guest. And here we are. Today is no guest, but there is two people in the audience plus the manager. Why is the manager floating? And we have one person on YouTube, Mystic Galateas. Welcome, Mystic. Welcome, Dex. Welcome, Little Brett. I'm going to do a little introduction, and then I'll ask Dex what he's reading. Then I'll ask Little Brett what she's reading, and then I'll ask Mystic on the stream or whoever else is on the stream, wherever else may show up. Let me just also say this is an interesting experiment because we have 1,600 people in the Second Life group, and I just wanted to see how many people show up if I don't publicize it beyond the group message, right? So I'm sending out a group message and we have a calendar. And normally when we have a guest, I do a lot of promotion leading up to it in the group chat and on various other channels. But this time I just wanted to see who is actually interested in this stuff to the extent that they actually put it on their own calendar. And we have the answer. It's precisely two people. I mean, at least in world. I'm not counting the manager. I'm sorry, manager. So we have two people that I'm very grateful for. I'm not making a judgment here. I'm not deducing anything about the state of reading in this world or any other world of the real world or the virtual world. But Dex and Little Brett are obviously able and also interested in spending the time here and putting it in their calendar, and I'm very grateful for that. Also, I don't want to Petra Verven and Mystic Galateas. Mystic says you're on my calendar on YouTube. Okay, Mystic, you are also acknowledged hereby. So now, mm, what are you reading? Let me just start with what I'm reading. I'm constantly reading, but I also have a loose topic, which is called reading anxiety, or shelf anxiety, I should say. So let me see here. You can actually see the shelf here in the back of this shot, and I have a little film prepared. But what am I reading? So I'm reading. Um, I am binge reading and catching up with Perry Roden, which is the world's biggest sci-fi series. Unfortunately, it's only in published in German, in Japanese, and I believe in Portuguese in Brazil. So this is a weekly this is a weekly series that is about 100 pages in this paper in this sort of pulp magazine format, and it's continuous. So 100 of these uh, magazine type or pulp magazine type things, we talked about it before, constitutes one big epic story. So So it's serialized in that sense, and it is pretty addictive. And this is one of the things that does cause me anxiety because I have a subscription, so they deliver it into the house, right? And I enjoy it for the most part, but then also I want to read all this other stuff, and then they come in the house and I go like, okay, I gotta continue. And I mean, look at these covers. This is so awesome. This is here. This is a flying snail. Angriff der Schattengarde. This guy here, Iluntasunas Hammer. This was an incredible one with this alien. So there's the scope of Perry Roden. Don't get me started because I will not end. And I made myself a note here to be brief. The scope is insane, and I put it aside to read stuff for the guests, and then these piled up, and so I had to catch up. And again, nobody's forcing me to do this. It's this weird, dilemma. I have a subscription, and it's not. I don't. My thinking is not, oh, I'm paying for the subscription, so I better read because otherwise it's a waste of money. No, not at all. It's I feel honestly with this serialized stuff with Perry Roden, I feel I'm gonna diss. If I'm not reading it, I'm dissing these authors, the team of authors. I think there's about 15 authors on staff that write this stuff again around the clock because every single week they have a new one. And again, these are not just they're they wrap up, to some extent, but it's also serialized. So they also have this epic arc, meaning they have to coordinate. These writers have to coordinate that there is logic um, in the overall 100 issue length story and stuff like that. So it's not an easy task where a writer just goes like, okay, I'm just gonna have to sort of whip up some alien stuff. There is a Peripedia page, like a Wikipedia, that is curated by fans. So it's all incredibly airtight, if you will, in terms of sort of the universe Bible. Yeah, and I feel bad if I don't read it. I feel like the authors know that I'm cheating, that I'm not reading it. And so yeah, this comes every week. So I have it very organized. I have one day where I read Perry Road, one day of the week. But again, I put this aside, and then they just piled up. Like I had 10 unread ones because of the book club guests that I had to read, and so I can't do that. I know my life sucks. So should I throw it to Dex or should I? I'm going to do one more thing here because I was going through my shelf and Khalil Gibran's The Prophet came up. Now, I don't know if you guys know The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's an incredibly famous book. I have a few of those, and it contains these little stories about the human condition. It's from 1923, and it's a thin volume with wonderful illustrations. And it has these, I don't know, aphorisms maybe, or just sort of philosophical musings about love, uh, crime, freedom, self love, self knowledge, teaching, friendship, good and evil, religion, and things like that. So it came out in 1923, was huge during the hippie era. It still is huge, and the reason why I'm putting this up right now is not that I'm reading it, but I was looking through my bookshelf and I was just randomly taking out books, and I'm taking out this one, and I'm opening it, and I see this illustration. So the book is about a prophet. The prophet is Al Mustafa, and he lives in the city. The city is called Orphalese, and then he boards a ship to go home, and then he is sort of stopped by people to discuss these topics. And look at this, the eye in hand logo. Do we know this logo from somewhere? Petra on YouTube says she wants to read the book. Well, now you have to read it. Look at this. Coincidence to the Second Life logo? I think not. No, but seriously, the eye in hand is you can encounter that in different many different areas. But I was honestly like I opened this. I think I don't know if I opened it on this page or another one, but then I was flipping through it. I don't want to pretend I opened it and it was right on this page. That would have been crazy and eerie. But anyway, I'm gonna ask Dex Euromat what he's reading right now. And I interrupted Dex last time. I actually regretted that because he was about to talk also about how to read, which I find interesting. But first of all, Dex, welcome. Would you like to tell us what you're reading? Let's see if I can hear Dex.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I am reading still Infinite Jest,
Oh!
which you, of course, proposed to me. But well, today I would like to talk about more two books I've read last year,
Mm-hmm.
which are one is the Arthur C. Clarke's the Space Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
2010.
Yeah, oh my God, I have it in my shelf. 2010, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the Polish books that is from which also came a movie, but this is a book called CK Deserters by Mr. Kazimierz Sejda.
Can you put it in the local chat and then the manager can retrieve it and then I can put it into the YouTube chat?
Sure, just a second.
CK Deserters. Maybe a Polish author.
Yes, it's a Polish author.
I
Yes.
heard about Polish authors like Stanislaw Lem. Is he Polish?
Yes, Stanislaw Lem is was a Polish futurologist.
That would be so embarrassing, Dex, if I say like, "Oh, I know a lot of Polish sci-fi authors like Stanislaw Lem," and then you would say he was Czech. Sometimes that happens to me when I was in America. People said, "Oh, I love German writers," and then they mentioned an Austrian guy. Anyway, go ahead. So Kazimierz Sejda,
Yes, Kazimierz
CK
Sejda,
Deserters.
CK Deserterzy. This is a book about what was happening during First World War and the adventures of some deserters from a military company of Austria-Hungary military.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I'm looking it up.
basically
Mhm.
they they decided to run
Desert.
away, and yeah, to run away from the army, and then managed to they managed to be around till the end of the war.
Hmm.
Yeah, and how about the most known uh, uh, Arthur C. Clarke's. Uh,
Let's talk. Let's
Space.
talk briefly about the CK Deserters. I just found there's a movie from 1986, HM Deserters, or maybe we can wrap it up. No, wrap it up. But both tell us what you like about each one of these books.
They they told other they told other history than in the films,
Hmm.
because they are because the history in the books are much more complex than in the in show, than shown in movies.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for example, in the books we can, for example, for the Space Odyssey, in a movie we have we are talking about just a few days,
Hmm.
but the reality in the book is it's everything is like a month or some much bigger period of time than
Hmm.
just a few days.
Why do you think they did it that way? So in the movie, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't read the book. 2010, we're talking about. Um, you say in the movie it's only a couple of days, and in the book it's a much longer time frame.
Yes, it's a much longer time frame, because in the movie, because Arthur C. Clarke was cooperating with the director, Stanley Kubrick, with the and for the first movie, and
Hmm.
this sequel, and the sequel was
I don't even know who made the sequel. Oh, Peter
also
Hyams.
yeah, Peter Hyams, but also but they do that. They had to shorten things because it would be the film would take I don't know, at least 5 hours to
Hmm.
watch. So
Hmm.
it won't be that easy to
Hmm.
comprehend for people. So so many things were changed, uh, but yeah, the book goes with much easier. And also, what was not shown in the film, but it's in the book, which I really appreciate, is that Arthur C. Clarke was going to make a third book,
Uh-huh.
where there is Space Odyssey uh, 10,000,
Wow.
or 10,000, and then even more 20,001.
Wow. I have no idea. And then he did he die before he completed that, or do you
Yeah,
know?
he had before completed the next books, but there is one there is a thing in an original book that might start the next books.
D- So you're hitting the an interesting point here. One of the things that I always talk about why I don't like movies that are made after books that I enjoy. Um, what the main reason is that I feel they are limiting my imagination because I already created this world in my head. Um, but also, what you're saying now. and this is just not possible, even if you get a Netflix deal with, I don't know, 50 episodes or something. Um, the the length, right? The length and the complexity, and they have to make these choices in the films to cut stuff out. I'm looking here at the picture you sent. I'm gonna put this up momentarily. The movie poster is also great from the CK Deserters. But so how do you feel about the cuts or the changes in the movie 2010 versus the book? Do you feel they made, given again the demands of this format, did they make the right choices, or would you have made other choices? What to cut?
I think they made very good choices for that,
Hmm.
because yeah, it's the story, the story is maintainable. This here, and in the book, it's all you just get more context how things were moving. You got also some mathematics how to do the orbital things, just like that. But yeah, in but for the uh, but for the normal audience, it is not needed. So you have to change things in the movie to make it more appealing.
Ah, see, but now this is something I could discuss for hours and hours. You say the normal audience, and you have to make it more appealing. So what you're essentially saying is that in this medium of film, it has to be an entertaining medium, and it has to appeal to a large audience. And I personally, in a perfect world, I don't want this to happen because I think that this is very much restricting the medium. If the film can be a more than just a entertainment medium, and if we put, and again, this is a function of course, the capitalist system where profits have to be made, and the investment is very big, and so they need this return on investment. And I don't want to completely change the subject because maybe we'll talk about this next time. Because there's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, and people know that I'm a big fan of Alejandro Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky attempted to make the movie Dune in the 70s, and it was never made. And then people usually know, okay, the Dune was then made by David Lynch, right? He got the rights, but not a lot of people know how far Jodorowsky went with the concept art of Dune. And it was crazy, and it was huge, and it would have cost a lot of money. And everybody said this is the best and most amazing project. And then the money people said, but we can't make it. So Jodorowsky, in this documentary, Jodorowsky's Dune, talks exactly about not making things necessarily easy to digest for the audience, for the movie audience, right? Like you're saying, because you're saying, I don't disagree with you that this is how the business works, but I just would like it to not work like that, you know. I don't
Yeah, and
know, but you're right. I mean, maybe if they had, like, let's say in 2010, the movie, if they had permission to make it longer, maybe it would be boring on screen to have 30 minutes discussion about mathematical equations. But maybe
yeah,
not. But maybe it
that
would
will,
be, maybe it would be challenging. Just like Infinite Jest has discussions about tennis for 50 pages. Yeah.
yeah, it's sometimes you sometimes when you watch the film first and then read the book, it's okay. I see why. Okay, I can see why they have to shorten this scene in the book in the film because it's too long. But but then you are looking for things that are the same and and how it's mm, connects the each scenes together.
Hmm.
So it's so from my perspective, the 2010 Space Odyssey film was very good.
Is
Was a
very
very
good.
good. Yeah,
Mhm.
was
It's
very
very
good.
good, and it didn't destroy the book. And again, this is a very involved and nuanced discussion that we can't, it would take. It's a fascinating discussion that I like to have, and it would take hours, because what Dex is, of course, also talking about, and I don't disagree with you at all. What you're hinting at is, of course, certain dramatic rules of this particular audiovisual format. There are things in the audiovisual format that are more challenging to pull off, let's say an interior monologue, um, than in book form. It's a different medium, and it makes sense to translate it, or it makes sense. It's important to translate a work into another medium, and to do to ignore the rules of that medium would be dumb, but also, and the Jodorowsky's Dune documentary is so fascinating. I believe to not attempt to break those rules is also dumb. Of course, this is an inherent conflict with commercial filmmaking. So I completely understand that a film like, I don't know, uh, Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain is probably not as commercially viable than Dirty Dancing. But then again, this is a big discussion. If people are presented more complex narratives and more complex um, visual palettes, maybe they will get used to this. The same with music. I have this fight with my dad all the time because I like contemporary classical music that my dad thinks is just a bunch of noise, right? Penderecki, it's mentioned Lutoslavsky, people like that. And my dad's like, that sounds like garbage. Why don't you listen to Mozart? And so I have nothing against Mozart, but Mozart plays at the dentist's office today. So anyway, there's nothing against the brilliance of Mozart. Is of course brilliance, but you know what I'm saying. There is one that can be played in the background while you wash the dishes, and then there's something that you have to pay attention to, but you get rewarded for it. That doesn't make the thing that plays while you wash the dishes bad, but it makes the thing that you have to pay attention to even more, I think, rewarding.
Yeah, that's. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thank you for agreeing
Uh,
with me. That's the show. Good night. No, I'm just. Little
no,
Brett is so patient. Little Brett, you will be able
yeah,
to say so. Go ahead, Dex. No. Dex, keep going.
no. Let we give voice to other persons. So I'm shutting up for now.
But I have one more question now, just in follow up, because we're talking about 2010, and I uploaded here what you just sent me, the CK Deserters book. I do want to know, when did this book come out, and if you saw the film. I just grabbed this film poster, which I think the film poster is very cool. So I have no idea if you saw the film. This is from 1986 or something. But do you have any opinion or experience with the same with the relationship of the book and the film, or no?
In this particular case, not exactly, because the the movie is uh, is located somewhere, of course. There is a movie plan, and there many things happens in a old fortification. However, the book is located somewhere else, and there is the famous scenes in the movie was taken from the book from totally different places.
Oh, you mean like
So-
locations in the world, in the
No.
war.
Not only the locations, but also the plot.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So for example, a famous speech of the commander
Mhm.
of the commander of this military company in this in the movie is taken from totally different plot place in the book.
Ah, okay. Okay, so they.
which,
Mhm.
so the dialogue is is
It's the same.
the dialogue is same, but it is put different in different plot sections in the book and in the movie.
That is strange. Do you know why? I mean, not strange. I can think of many reasons. It would annoy me if I were a fan of the book, but sometimes certain places, for dramatic reasons, have a better impact. But then again, ah, in theory, this annoys me even without knowing this particular plot because I feel that this is probably done to make the movie more dramatic, and that means to me that the
No,
no
because the CK deserters are the comedy.
the comedy.
Yes, this is a
Oh,
comedy.
I see. Okay.
Comedy film, but some things had to be also cut off from the book because at that time we were under communism.
Ah, I see. So this
so
was
you
more the
have to-
censorship. Okay. Hmm.
You have to go along with censorship. So it's yeah, but but still some of the gags in the movie are really good and goes through
Hmm.
the nets quite easily.
Oh, I see. I see. So that's very cool. I apologize for jumping to conclusions. So the movie had to deal with the movie producers had to deal with the censors of the regime, but then you're
Yeah.
saying they were able to sneak through some jokes that were maybe critical or didn't look at the regime in a good light.
Yeah, there is another movie.
Is the book available in translation? You know?
I'm not sure, but probably yes.
I'm gonna look
Somewhere.
this up. Hmm. That looks interesting because World War One and especially if so the book is also then sort of a comedy. Is it kind of an anti-war comedy, you would say, or?
Yes, then it's an anti-war comedy. Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I find a translation because that genre, if you know, Catch 22 is one of my favorite books of all time. I mean, if you guys haven't read Catch 22, this is the best anti-war comedy that's out there, I think. But again, what do I know? Because I don't speak Polish, Dex. Okay, Little Brett, what are you reading? Would you like to say something? Would you like to chime in? Would you like to share? Although you haven't been at my birthday party, but fear not because the birthday is coming up again. That's the thing with birthdays. It's every year. I'm reading a book called Ward D. Okay, little Brett is typing, and I'm going to translate into speech Ward D, and I'm gonna get us the uh, tell us more about that. It's medical student Amy Brenner is spending the night on a locked psychiatric ward. Exactly. I'm reading from Goodreads. God, what is it with you, little Brett? Always with the psychiatric wards. I worked in a psychiatric ward in my civil service when there was a draft in Germany. I don't want to go back there necessarily. Why do you love these types of stories? Here it says in Goodreads, Amy has been dreading her evening working on Ward D, the hospital's inpatient mental health unit. There are specific reasons why she never wanted to do this required overnight rotation. Reasons nobody ever can find out. So her friend was there as a patient. She was locked up there, I guess. And now, are you reading this? Okay, you said you find it interesting. I need more detail about what is interesting to you. I mean, I kind of know because I know you, but I'm curious why people like horror, broadly speaking, horror, fiction or movies. What's the popularity? Uh, why is it so popular? You think, or for you, not why is it so popular, broadly speaking? Why is it interesting to you? Psychiatry you find interesting, or things that happen in that realm, and dark history. I don't necessarily know how dark history is defined, but what is it with psychiatry and things like that? Do you Are you fascinated why people go cray cray? Are you concerned with not concerned? Are you fascinated? you Well, yeah, I'm projecting because that's why I was into it as a young man. It's not that I'm not anymore. Um, let's see here. I put this. This is the book Ward D by Frida McFadden. It's full of plot twists. It's gripping. It's a twisted thriller. Um, yeah, I do find it interesting, um, and I have my theories why people find uh, stories with stories that happen in the realm of mental issues. The history of psychiatry, mental institutions is interesting because it's creepy. Yeah, no, this is a good point, and the history of psychiatry, in fact, is fraught with a lot of issues because I just read about this recently. The open psychiatry in Germany, I th- I have to verify this, but I believe what I read was that they only opened up what they call open psychiatric or social psychiatric institutions that were patients were allowed um, to go outside, to go in and out under medication or under certain other restrictions. That was only like in the mid 70s, and before that, it was all completely locked. So yeah, little Brett, you're what you're typing here is similar to my. You're saying the history. You get to see how much we know compared to just a few generations ago about yeah, and also how things change in perception of certain conditions or how they are placed in the context. For example, a psychotic state when patients hear voices. I was working in the social psychiatric institution when I was 21 in my civil service, and you know, back then in 91, 92, there was still when people had psychotic episodes and they heard voices, which is a symptom of a psychotic episode. Some other people they see things or it's a variety of things. They were given very strong medication, and just recently, to suppress these symptoms. But recently, actually, psychiatrists have been working to integrate voices into the daily lives of these patients or clients, as we call them. And that is a fascinating. I heard a long radio documentary about this because I'm not working in the field, but it's fascinating. And obviously before that, and I'm not an expert, but little Brett, you are because you're reading this stuff. People were locked up, like I say, I think until the mid 70s, at least in Germany. People were locked up, and before that, we all know. I don't know if we all know, but we know about lobotomy, right? Where people who were quote unquote crazy were lobotomized, hit with an ice pick. And there is some documentary about. God, I need to find a way to very quickly in was it in no, it was not in the eye. It was between the eyes with the ice pick. No, somebody look up lobotomy and put a Wikipedia article. Uh, and and this was a practice. I would have to look this up real quick because it shocked me, and I forgot. But it shocked me when I read this how long this practice was actually done. Um, the practice of lobotomy. We need to have this open on the overhead head projector. Lobotomy was done by Walter Freeman. There is also some interesting documentary, but let me quickly scan through this. From the 50s onward, lobotomy began to be abandoned first in the Soviet Union and Europe, but basically into the 50s, well into the 50s, this was used. Little Brett, let me ask you a a question that my parents asked me when I was into horror movies. Little Brett, why do you like stuff that is creepy when the world is so dangerous and so much chaos is in the world? Why don't you read a good romance novel where things are in order and nice? This is deliberately a very kind of stupid question, actually. I think, well, it's not stupid, but I think it's simplistic. It's a simplistic view because I could give you the answer that I gave my parents when they were like, "Why do you watch George Romero's zombie movies? Why do you watch Hellraiser, one of my favorite movies, 1987? People getting killed and maimed." Mystic says here in the local chat about lobotomy. It's a type of brain surgery that involves severing the connection between the frontal lobe and other parts of the brain. And little Brad put this in the local chat. Little Brad is typing because I find the darkness more interesting, less what it's called when you can't see what will happen. So you find it interesting when you can't see what will happen. What do you mean less what it's called? You mean like the label that like horror? So you're kind of objecting to me like labeling just like broadly horror, right? So it's not about the label or the genre is I guess what you're saying. It's really about stories that show the dark side of human relations, show the dark side of the world, maybe of things that in everyday real life maybe are brushed under the rug but are still there in your emotions but cannot be said because they violate norms. Because now I'm basically giving the answer that I gave to my parents who were like, why don't you watch some nice things? Um, there's more to the human condition, Mom. There's more to the human condition than people getting married and having kids. Maximum Overdrive. Wait a minute, was that a Stephen King? Uh, was that with the trucks? Anyway, I made the mistake that I threw it back to movies. Little Brad, would you add some? Would you like to add some more on the topic of dark things? Dex, would you like to chime in about the dark things in life? Because certainly Infinite Jest that I forced you to read, and I'm not even paying you for it, is certainly quite dark. And I had people tell me I can't read that because it involves suicide, it involves addiction, it involves abuse and all sorts of things. And I just feel that literature and art is incredibly important way to deal with the reality of the darkness, our limited life on this planet, the mortality that is built into the deal that we have on this planet, and how do we make sense of this stuff that can't be, frankly, uh, made sense of. Dex, do you like these dark things or do you like comedy?
Both.
Yeah. It's kind of also kind of a dumb, simplistic sort of binary question as if there is nothing in between. This is really sort of a frame of a marketing frame where marketers don't know what to do with certain things because they are complex, just like human lives are and human relations are. Little Brett says also she finished a book called Fog Island by Mariette Lindstein about a girl who gets stuck on an island, Fog Island, and she's stuck on Fog Island. Also, I guess a dark book. It's a cult on that island. Little Brett is really fascinated with cults and And I don't know, people getting stuck somewhere. I'm trying to psychoanalyze Little Brett. Is that because you feel stuck in Norway? No. I mean, I when I was your age and a little younger, I inhaled everything that Stephen King wrote. Um, Anything I could get my hands on, it was actually very often outside of Stephen King, who was basically the guarantor of the kind of feeling that I wanted from books. Um, I went after the cover. I decided based on the cover. Now I don't know if Little Brett reads ebooks. I mean, ebooks also have covers. The Ward D cover is pretty cool. Let me see if I get the Fog Island cover real quick here. Downloaded in World. Ah, okay, hold on here, guys. Ah, Dex is thinking about reading Christine, but when I read it, it was made after the movie. Um, nope, not gonna happen. So you saw the movie Christine, and you're not going to read it, is what you're saying. Christine, I also I didn't read Christine for some reason. Um,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I will not read it because I heard the story about making the book and and the movie, and the book was well actually made after the movie, so
Oh,
uh, so I don't want to ruin my experience.
I understand that. Because that's when you. I mean, I have this. I don't want to get into this whole never-ending story thing, which I talked about before. My love-hate relationship with never-ending stories. So here's the author Mariette Lindstein with her Shadow of Fog Island. So it's a series of books, Fog Island. Now, when I look at this author, I think she's in a cult. Look at the author and how she holds that dog. I think some of these. I'm joking, of course, but that is actually. Uh, I think my mother really did. Maybe I misremembered the stuff, but I have a vague memory of my mother sort of asserting that some of the authors that write that stuff are are also disturbed. And that's not a new, that's not a unique notion that was expressed by my mother. I think a lot of parents, especially in the 80s, I mean in the United States there was the Satanic Panic, also related with music. Judas Priest were on trial. This is a whole nother story. Um, so Little Brett, thank you, and Dex, thank you also for sharing your thoughts on reading this. This is actually total fun. I hope next time not more people show up. Then it's only between us. That is very cool. Our small little book club. Oh, I must not forget to acknowledge though the folks on the chat, because Mystic and Petra were chiming in here on the chat. Petra is gone. She needs to go. Still getting better. She was sick. Um, so I hope you get better if you still hear this. And I do have to wrap it up tight. Uh, I made a little film, a 5-minute little clip that I want to show of my shelf, where I talk about my shelf anxiety and I'm illustrating it, and we can talk about it next time. And you see, Dex and Little Brett, I'm getting better in letting people speak, right? Please type yes. Type yes in the local chat. Thank you, Little Brett. And next time, even more, even more. Okay, I'm learning. I have a good psychiatrist. I have a good psychiatrist who's teaching me. He's not on ward. He's not on ward D. Um, so I'm gonna play this little film, and then we'll do a sign off. If you're here in world, you have to go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Draxtor/live. There's still no way to synchronize this for all of us to see here in world. So I'm going to start playing this now. And this is me in real life showing you my bookshelf and talking about what I call shelf anxiety. I don't know if it's a real disorder, but it might be. Here we go.
Okay, so a little video to illustrate my book anxiety. I know everybody's like, whoa, this is awesome. Look at this. And it is. Every Saturday, I have my ritual where I walk along this path of books. I encounter things like this. And as of late, what I've started doing is to actually every week I change, like a bookstore. I take one title and then I put it out like this on display. Life on the Screen by Sherry Turkle. Identity on in the Age of the Internet. I had this forever. Bought it used. Haven't read it. I'm ashamed. Anxiety. But this came out in 1995. So, oops, I have to get up again. Oh boy. But anyway, what do I mean when I talk about anxiety? So when I do my ritual, my ritualistic dusting off this shelf with maybe about 4,000 titles, I'm encountering books that I want to read. And then I have to admit, I get slightly overwhelmed because I don't know. I can't decide, and then I start making lists, and that helps me. But so, for example, who the fuck is Kafka? This is a German-Israeli writer who this got recommended to me. This is a story about an Israeli writer and a Palestinian journalist. They want to make a movie. And so this is a novel about their relationship and about anger and reconciliation and restorative justice, basically. So I'm like, cool. Current topic. Let's read this. But then I go here. This is nonfiction. The Great Transformation by Karl Polanyi. Extremely important book that came out, I believe, in 44. Okay, I can't open it while holding this. And was basically predicting what would happen if we go into total economic liberalism, the kind of inequality that we have now, the kind of destruction of public services, etc. And it was ignored at the time because people were like, hey, World War II is over and now we're going to all prosper by unleashing the markets. So, point is, got this. Should I read this? No, I have to read this. And then I go over here and I see here, interestingly, my wife from 2004. War and Peace. War and Peace. I have to read this. Who tells me that I have to read this? Nobody but me. So, I haven't read this. I have to because it's part of the canon. And then that sort of makes me anxious and that precludes me from picking up this one, which is current. And then I got the anxiety because I need this one to understand the economy or understand why were people ignoring this text. Not everybody was ignoring it, but you know what I'm saying. Why was this not taken into consideration? Those warnings about unfeathered market liberalism, etc. And then I go over here and go, oh, Don DeLillo. What the heck? Oh my God. Haven't read this, Libra. And of course, White Noise. This is my wife's book, actually. Came with the marriage. And yeah, and these are all important texts. And here, and then here comes the pulp. Perry Rhodan. Look at this. This is nothing. I mean, I have hundreds of these. It's published since 1961 in Germany, every week. The longest running, biggest sci-fi series in the world. Considered pulp, considered inferior at the time. Now it's kind of has shifted, but it's still, you know, not as not used in the same sentence as Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So, but I don't care. I love this stuff. And that's it. Discuss book anxiety. Book anxiety, how can it be squelched? By not reading and just looking at family photos from the 60s. My father-in-law, look at this car. So let's just do that and not read. My mother-in-law. 60, who are these people? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So there you have the luxury problem of book anxiety. I know people like Draxtor, shut up. Look at these books. What do you have to complain about? Well, you heard it. I'm a sick man. I need to get a better shrink. Maybe little Brad can get me one. But you saw also the Perry Rhodan, sort of those thin magazines. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm such a big Perry Rhodan fan. But yeah, so here we go. While you guys are watching this, I found out that Mariette Lindstein, Fog Island in German, it's called Die Sekte. Deine Welt steht in Flammen. Ein Bestseller aus Schweden. Big here in Germany. Apparently, #1 the bestseller. I don't know these things. I have no idea. Should I check if Ward D is translated? Listen, little Brett, you just saw from this little film my anxiety. Before I go to Ward D, to be honest, it's got to be Infinite Jest for the 4th time. And maybe CK Deserters. Nothing against you, little Brett. You come here, you keep mentioning it, and you will convince me. But also this Fog Island looks interesting. I mean, all this stuff is interesting. It's really actually quite wonderful what you guys contributed here too. And you know what? Okay, Fog Island, I'll give it a try. Okay, little Brett. I promise you, I'll try it out. Okay? I will send you proof. And then CK Deserters, I have to see if there's a translation. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'll tell you real quick what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to watch Three Body Problem on Netflix. Why? Because Three Body Problem is one of the most important sci-fi epics ever. I mean, it's really it belongs, and I mean, Xi Liu is vocal about Arthur C. Clarke and all these these American and British authors that he was influenced by. The Three Body Problem is now on Netflix, and people are talking about it, and I am not going to watch it. I'm telling you, I saw the trailer. It is totally depressing to me. And now, actually, on New World Notes, which is apparently some Second Life blog, people talk about, little Brett, do me a favor. Don't watch it. Get the book. The book is amazing. It's amazing. I mean, it's a trilogy. You could argue it's a 4-part series. It is just beyond. Well, the third Death's End is. I mean, he gets better, My favorite is the Dark Forest because it's very philosophical. There's a lot of philosophy. Dex might enjoy it too because the Dark Forest, the second part of Three Body Problem, is very much like Marat and steeply discussions, but on a global scale with aliens lurking in the background. So yeah, I mean, before we started here, I checked out the New World Notes, the Second Life blog by a guy who shall not be named. I don't know, it's a childish beef that I have with him, but he was talking about it because there is a virtual reality component. Dex, don't leave quite yet. I just want to say what's coming up next week. 1 second, 1 second. So check out New World Notes, and you might find it interesting, the VR component. But don't watch it. Get the book if you haven't read it. Next week we are. I'm not sure if this is happening. I'm in contact with the fantastic. Let me see here. Where is my slides? With the amazing Charles Yu, who is a National Book Award winner, and he will be back. He's scheduled, but I am not sure. He emailed me, and he has his book Interior Chinatown made into a Netflix series, and he's invited on the set. So these are the 4 books that I have from Charles Yu. And Charles Yu is scheduled for next week at 12 o'clock. I hope it's going to happen. If it's not happening, please check the calendar. If it's not happening, we're doing another chat here where I will talk even less and you will talk even more at the 10 o'clock hour. So it'll be I'll send a group message. So this is scheduled for May 1st, Charles Yu at 12 o'clock. If he can't make it because of being on the set of his movie, then we will reschedule that, and then he will come at another time, and we will do a 10 o'clock. Sounds good? Charles Yu. Okay, Little Brett and Dex, thank you for coming. Thank you for inspiring me. I'm going to quit. And thank you for Mystic and Vanderveer. Not Vanderveer. Sorry, Petra Verven. I don't know if Petra is a different person in SL. I'm not going to reveal it. Little Brett is so pushy. Little Brett, if I read it, will you listen to the last 4 Def albums in a row? But I already promised it. I'll get it. God. Okay. Bye, everybody.
We're all thrown into it, one way or the other. We all try to steer it as straight as we can. Sometimes we collide with each other. Who is to blame? And who's gonna fix the boat? Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say? Let's close the door on the past. So we swim, and it is in so many ways just a little trick to keep our heads above water. But now I'm not afraid anymore. Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say? Let's close the door on the past. Oh life, say, let's close